There is a part of you that walks into every room, already dressed in invisible armor. It wears a mask of confidence, of certainty, of control. It speaks before you think. It reacts before you reflect. It wants to be seen a certain way, remembered a certain way, respected a certain way. It tells you who you are and who you must never become. That voice in your head, the one that narrates every interaction, that seeks approval, that resents criticism, is not your true self. It is the mask of the ego. From the moment we are born, we begin to put on layers. We are given names, roles, expectations. We are told what to be, how to act, what success looks like, what failure means. Slowly, we become performers in a social theater, forgetting that we were once just being, pure, spontaneous, unafraid. We traded authenticity for acceptance, silence for noise, curiosity for control. And now we walk around with this mask, thinking it's our real face. But the ego is not who you are. The ego is just a defense. It's a mental construct built out of fear of being judged, rejected, forgotten. So it creates a character, a mask, and tells you, if you play this role well, you'll be safe. But what is safety if it costs you your truth? What is success if you had to become someone else to get there? The ego doesn't want peace. It wants power. It doesn't seek truth, it seeks attention. It doesn't love, it attaches. It doesn't listen, it waits to speak. It is not evil, but it is afraid. It is not your enemy, but it is not your guide. It is useful, but only when seen clearly. The problem is most people don't see it, they become it. You see, the ego is subtle. It shows up in the need to win every argument, in the fear of being wrong, in the desire to impress rather than connect, in the constant comparison, the endless striving, the unspoken anxiety that says, I'm not enough as I am. It wears many masks: pride, victimhood, superiority, self-doubt. But underneath all of them is one thing: fear. And that fear keeps you small. The truth is, you don't need the mask. You never did. The version of you that you're trying to protect with the mask, the real you, is more powerful than you know. But that power doesn't come from being better than others. It comes from being real, being honest, being open. Vulnerability is not weakness. It is the courage to live without the mask. Imagine this: a life where you don't have to pretend, where you can say, I don't know, without shame, where you can fail and laugh about it, where you can speak your truth and not fear rejection, where you can walk away from what doesn't feel right without guilt. That kind of life isn't possible through the ego. It's only possible when you drop the mask. But how do you take it off? You begin by noticing it. The next time you feel defensive, ask yourself, what am I trying to protect? The next time you seek praise, ask, what do I really want right now? The next time you judge someone, ask, what part of me am I afraid they're seeing? These questions pierce the mask. They expose the game the ego plays. And when you see the game clearly, you no longer need to play it. You begin to realize that the mask doesn't protect you. It imprisons you. It keeps you from intimacy, from creativity, from joy. Because everything the ego builds is based on fear, and nothing built on fear can ever bring lasting peace. You're always one criticism away from collapse, one failure away from shame, one rejection away from isolation. But when you drop the mask, something incredible happens. You begin to experience life raw, real, unfiltered. Conversations deepen, relationships flourish, creativity flows. You stop performing and start living. You stop managing perception and start connecting. You stop striving to be someone and start being who you already are. The world may reward the mask, but your soul will never be satisfied by it. There is a kind of hunger that can only be fed by truth. The hunger to be seen, not as a success, not as a persona, but as a human being, flawed, growing, evolving. When you meet someone who lives without the mask, you feel it. You trust them. You're drawn to them. Because there's no agenda, no performance, just presence. That's what people really crave, not your perfection, but your presence. Your ability to be with them, not above them. To listen, not lecture. To feel, not fix. When you drop the mask, you give others permission to drop theirs too. And that's when real connection begins. The mask will try to hold on. It will whisper, "If you let go of me, you'll lose everything." But you won't. You'll only lose what wasn't real. You'll only lose the approval that wasn't based on truth. You'll only lose the image that never felt authentic. What you gain in return is worth more than anything the ego ever promised. You gain peace. The kind of peace that doesn't need to prove anything. You gain freedom. The kind of freedom that lets you laugh at yourself. You gain love. The kind of love that isn't based on conditions or roles. And most importantly, you gain yourself. Not the self that fits into a box, but the self that is vast, open, ever-changing. When you take off the mask, you may feel exposed at first, vulnerable, naked. That's normal. But soon, that vulnerability becomes strength. It becomes clarity. It becomes the foundation of a new way of living, one rooted in presence, not performance. You start to see that life isn't about being right. It's about being real. It's not about winning. It's about waking up. It's not about being someone else's version of success. It's about being your own version of alive. And you can't do that while hiding behind a mask. So look in the mirror, not the one on your wall, but the one inside you. Ask yourself, what am I still pretending to be? And then ask, what would happen if I stopped? The answer may terrify you, but it will also liberate you. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be present. You don't need to be invincible. You just need to be honest. You don't need to impress. You just need to express. That's where your real power lies, not in the mask, but in the courage to live without it. The next time the ego flares up, when you feel the urge to defend, to prove, to control, pause, breathe. Feel the mask trying to come back on, then smile. You're seeing it clearly now. That's the beginning of freedom. Life isn't asking you to be someone. It's asking you to be here, fully, freely, fearlessly. The world doesn't need more perfect people. It needs more real ones. People who can laugh at their own ego, who can apologize without shame, who can stand tall without stepping on anyone. That's real confidence. That's real success. The ego will always have something to say. It will tell you you're not enough, that you need to be smarter, stronger, richer, more attractive. But underneath all that noise is a deeper voice, a still, quiet knowing that whispers, you are already whole, you are already free. Listen to that voice, trust it, let it guide you. And when you do, something shifts. Life no longer feels like a competition, it becomes a dance, a flow, a sacred unfolding. You stop trying to dominate and start learning to cooperate with others, with nature, with the rhythm of your own heart. There is no enemy out there. The only battle worth fighting is the one inside, the battle between the mask and the truth. And the truth doesn't shout, it doesn't push, it waits, patiently, lovingly, for you to return. You don't need to wait for a breakdown or a crisis to remove the mask. You can do it now, gently, deliberately, one moment at a time. Start by being honest with yourself. Then be honest with others. Let yourself be seen, not the version you polished, but the one you've hidden. And when you do, you'll realize something profound. The mask was never necessary. You were never broken. You were never lacking. You were simply covered. Covered in stories, expectations, fears. But now you're ready to uncover, to rediscover, to come home to yourself. So take a breath, drop the act, step into the light. You don't have to be anything but what you are, right now. In this moment, that's more than enough. The ego is just a mask. Take it off, and meet the world with your real face.